Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm taking you to the Ultra League Premier Cup, where a trainer is causing chaos with their fully maxed out Shadow HUNDO Galvantula. Now these battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Blazingly Blaze, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now Shadow HUNDO Galvantula, in my eyes, is one of the best Shadow HUNDOs you can have, because the HUNDO Galvantula is actually the rank 1 IV spread for the Ultra League. Even though Shadow Galvantula is extremely frail, Blaze is able to put it to great use. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches. And in game number 1, we're off to a bit of an interesting start, leading Shadow Galvantula and Clefable. But this is not the standard Galvantula moveset, it's opting for Cross Poison over Discharge. Clefable goes for the Swift. No, they actually go for a resisted Meteor Mash, but that damage did not look resisted. Galvantula is already very frail, so once you add the Shadow, this Pokemon is getting absolutely shredded by even resisted damage. Galvantula gonna be winning Charge Type priority over Clefable, taking the knockout. In comes a Sucker Punch Belly Bolt. Galvantula not gonna survive too many more Sucker Punches, but able to leave with a parting gift of a last second Cross Poison and an aggressive pivot into Malamar. A lot of Belly Bolt teams do not have a strong check to Malamar, so I do like the decision to not give Belly Bolt too much of an energy head start. Belly Bolt does what it does best, boosting up its defense with Parabolic Charge, as Malamar will connect with Foul Play. Malamar's Psy-Waves just consistently do so much damage in this matchup. Belly Bolt able to pry the final shield away from Malamar, but Malamar is going to look to farm up to the back-to-back. Very nice catch by the opponent as they make a catch of a Foul Play onto Lapras, but unfortunately for the opponent, Lapras is just complete dead weight into this team. There's a Malamar which destroys it, there's a Jellicent that destroys it, and Galvantula will hit it for super effective damage. So after Superpower gets the shield, in comes Jellicent, and this poor Lapras, it can throw Aria after Aria, and it just simply will not matter. In the Great League, Lapras with the Psy-Waves can do enough damage to kind of make this matchup close. In the Ultra League, this is just checkmate. There's no way out for the Lapras. Jellicent gonna be firing off Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball lands, getting Lapras low. There's the switch into Belly Bolt, but Belly Bolt will immediately get sent back to his Pokeball by the Surf. Surf will take the knockout. Back in comes the Lapras, but there's just no way forward for this trainer. Even a Surf would have knocked out, but Blaze knows he's not getting KO'd by the Sparkling Aria. Quick switch into Malamar to get the Psy-Wave down and to secure the Game 1 win. We move straight away into game number 2, and it's a pretty solid lead, Shadow Galv into Malamar. No Fury Cutter here to melt them with double super effective damage, but Lunge will easily pick up the one-hit KO. That's what makes going for a Cross Poison bait so safe here. Galv fires off the Cross Poison bait, getting a shield from the Malamar. Unfortunately, even though the bait is helpful, it means that there was no attack debuff from the Lunge, and that means these Psy-Waves will continue to shred. Opponent makes a nice catch, catching Lunge onto Licky Licky, but they actually went for the frame perfect catch instead of switching one turn before the Lunge, which meant that Licky Licky did not get a rollout sneak. That's pretty helpful for the Galv, who's able to rebank Lunge and then send in Shadow Malamar. Malamar more than happy to be hit with a debuff Shadow Ball. Licky Licky's already at Shadow Ball number 2, and that's just not going to be a problem for the Malamar. Malamar will look to farm up quite a bit of energy, trying to CMP tie, but Licky Licky chooses instead to take the free rollout. Foul Play is going to be securing the knockout. Back in comes the Malamar. Malamar is healthy enough that Superpower will not be able to secure the KO. That's going to land, and there's the combo play. Back in comes Galvantula. I love the decision to play aggressive, try and take a knockout, and apply a perma debuff on whatever's in back. Galv gonna be hit with the Foul Play, but Galv is smelling blood in the water here, putting up the shield. In the back is Shadow Toucannon. I know Lunge is resisted here, but this is a Shadow Galvantula. That move does not look resisted whatsoever. Lunge lands on a Toucannon. Suddenly, Toucannon can't do nearly the damage output that it typically would. In comes Jellicent. Opponent doesn't even throw. They know they have no options remaining. Jellicent takes back-to-back knockouts, and that's a good game. We move to the third match, and it's a very awkward lead. Shadow Galv into Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn's moveset is going to be completely walled here by the Galv, but considering it's a Shadow Galv, we know nothing is ever truly walled. It's still going to take quite a lot of damage. Lunge is going to land, but this could be trouble. In comes Shadow Dusknoir. And Shadow Dusknoir is up enough energy that Dusknoir should be able to actually win the 2s now. Normally, Malamar wins the 2s just by outpacing, but because Galv was stuck in that Volt Switch animation, Dusknoir got enough of an energy head start, and now Malamar is unable to double shield and consistently keep switch advantage. Malamar tanks one, shields one, gonna try and force the final shield away from the Dust Noir or make a play for switch advantage. Switch advantage would definitely be preferred. Oh, and the switch advantage is actually given. Ferrothorn is gonna get the farm down. Back in comes Galv, but I'm very worried that Galv is gonna get two-shot by Power Whip. The no shield from Galv, Power Whip is gonna land. That is absolutely two-shotting, and that is very bad news for our friend Galvantula. Galvantula forced to put up the shield, gonna look to overfarm quite a bit in the back. They have their own Jellicent, and this is really not good. Galv has to hope the Jellicent does respect the potential discharge, but they do not. Galv going for yet another lunge, debuff after debuff. Will the opponent finally shield? Yes, they do. Galv makes a last-second cross poison, trying for whatever damage it can possibly get. It got the Jellicent very low, but I think the issue is the Ferrothorn still has a bunch of energy. Jellicent gonna get hit with a debuff Shadow Ball. That's not gonna do much. In comes the Ferrothorn. No, it's a charge attack priority loss. Jellicent makes the Shadow Ball, but the Power Whip is gonna land. And now this Jellicent is just too low. The opponent is very low on their Jellicent as well, but I think they have more HP, and they can make a charge attack as well. Back in comes the blue Jellicent. Surf KOs the pink Jellicent. Man, that is an unfortunate loss. Hopping into the next match, leading Shadow Galv into Pangoro. This is a very nice lead matchup for the Galv. Panda is staying in, so either they're core broken to smithereens, or maybe they have the surprise nuke of Rock Slide. Shield comes up, no Rock Slide shenanigans today. Opponent only ends up going for the Night Slash as Galv gets to launch a lunge in retaliation. Lunge shielded up by the Panda. Pangoro can fire off whatever they want to now, but with the debuff, Galv will be able to hang on. It's going to be the Night Slash, Galv. Oh, actually on discharge now. It took me a minute to realize. No longer cross poison. Lunge is going to be undercharged, still takes the knockout, and in comes Tentacruel. Tentacruel hoping for a farm down that it's not going to get. Galv suddenly very happy that it's now on discharge. Discharge will get the shield. Tentacruel gets a full farm down, but in comes Jellicent. Payback will do some pretty significant damage, but of course it will not pick up the one-hit KO. So Jellicent will be able to hang on. In the back is Corviknight. Corviknight farming up, trying to make it to the payback, but before it can get there, Jellicent is already at the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball lands. Unfortunately, it looks like 3 charge attacks will be needed to get rid of this Corviknight. Jellicent calls the bait, it's a payback, and Jellicent gets KO'd. It's all up to Shadow Malamar. Shadow Malamar, as long as he's able to make 3 charge attacks, should be able to take home this win. Corviknight goes for the air cutter, the no shield by Malamar. Unfortunately, the sideways, even though they do add up, have not done enough damage to put this into foul play range. Foul play lands. Corviknight hangs on. Corviknight makes another charge attack, and again, it's going to have to be a no shield from the Malamar. It's just going to be another air cutter. In comes the Tentacruel, and this is where the Shadow Sidewave damage is so good for Malamar. Malamar, pretty much in back-to-back moves here, can fire off the foul play, look for a Sidewave down, and then just knock out the Corviknight with superpower. The opponent fires off the last-second Scald, but it's just too little, too late. Malamar farms down, and the opponent will resign the match. We've got some crazy spice in the next match. A Shadow Galv leads into a Shadow Donphan. Shadow Donphan, a pretty terrible Pokemon for this team to see. This Donphan will completely obliterate the Galv, and it is Trailblaze for the Jellicent. Donphan now gets to ramp up its Mud Slaps as well, making life even more difficult for the Malamar. Malamar is able to get a shield from the Donphan. Malamar farming up, opponent sends out Hydreigon, but Hydreigon's about to get absolutely crushed by back-to-back superpowers. The shield comes out from Hydreigon. There's the pivot into Galvantula. Opponent, a slight misplay on timing as an entire Volt Switch goes through. Hydreigon lands the fly, but it's not enough to set up a farm down. The mistaken timing from the opponent comes back to cost them as Galv survives on very low HP and picks up the one-hit KO with Lunge. Opponent waits down the switch timer. They're highly likely to bring back in the Donphan. Donphan's now loaded up on energy once again. Might look to send in the Jellicent and maybe look to try and snipe with the Malamar. There's the snipe. Oh, but the opponent read it. The opponent reads the snipe attempt. They fire off the Trailblaze to deny that energy and force the final shield. So at the very least, Donphan is out of the way. The Jellicent will have to win a 1v1 endgame, and against the Tentacruel, this is going to be very tough. The Jellicent does have a small energy head start, and Payback will not one-shot, but Tentacruel is just monstrously bulky in the Ultra League. 2 Shadow Balls will not take the knockout. With the Hexes, this is going to be a very close game. Penta, Payback is going to land. Jellicent going to throw on good charge attack timing as it goes for the Shadow Ball. Penta's guaranteed to make the Scald. The question is, will Scald be enough to take the knockout? It all comes down to this. The opponent needs this Scald to take the knockout. Scald is going to land. Jelly hangs on. Jellicent with 1 HP gets the farm down. What a win. I gotta hand it to that opponent. They were bringing the spice, and this next opponent is bringing the spice as well. Galvantula into Meowscarada. Meowscarada gonna launch a Night Slash. Meowscarada has a massive attack stat, but the shield will come up as Galv looks to farm up and return fire with the lunge. Lunge is guaranteed to get the shield. This is double super effective damage, so Meowscarada is now debuffed. Meowscarada gonna be safe switching out of that matchup, sending in Ampharos. Ampharos makes the brutal swing. Is this gonna be enough to KO Galv? Galv says no shielding. Galv survives, but not by much. Galv might be in range of getting farmed down by Leafage later in the game. Ampharos goes for the Trailblaze, just looking to ramp up its damage as much as possible. Malamar going for Foul Play, but this is the non-Shadow Ampharos. Is this going to be enough? Foul Play lands. It is just enough to KO. That's a big swing of momentum as back in comes Meowscarada. Meowscarada fires off the Night Slash, gets the shield. Switch Clock will be available for Blaze. So if Meowscarada shields, the question is there a combo play? Shield comes up. Oh my goodness, tried for the combo play. Fired off the lunge, but it's caught onto Belly Bolt. Great anticipation from the opponent, but Belly Bolt unable to get the farm down as Galv makes it to lunge number 2. Lunge gets Belly Bolt very, very low, and in comes Jellicent. Galv did really nice damage onto the Belly Bolt, but the question remains, the lunge was caught. The Meowscarada is still almost full HP. How do you get rid of Meowscarada? Zap Cannon does get the debuff as well. In comes Meowscarada, answered with the Malamar, and Malamar will immediately get knocked out as Meowscarada is not risking a superpower. Back in comes the Jellicent, but Jellicent just doesn't have the damage output here to win this game. Jellicent would need 3 charge stacks, and unfortunately, it's just not going to get there. Jellicent goes for Surf into the Shadow Ball. Surf will take the knockout, but unfortunately, back in comes the Belly Bolt, and Belly Bolt will get the farm down, and that's going to be a loss. I believe he mentioned for the final 2 games, he does have Malamar in the lead, and we see it right here. Shadow Malamar versus Kanto Ninetales. A bit of a change of pace with a different lead for the team, but Mandibus safe switch, that's something Galvantula definitely wants to see. Galv gonna launch Lunge. Unfortunately, we're back on the Cross Poison moveset from earlier, which means no super effective damage, but honestly, it doesn't really look like it's needed considering how much damage that Lunge did. Mandibus goes for the Foul Play. Thanks to that debuff, Foul Play looks like we'll barely miss the 2-hit KO. So Galv is gonna be no shielding. Galv very low, can't quite get the farm down, forced to instead fire off the Cross Poison. Cross Poison from Galv is going to be knocking out that Mandibuzz. Back in comes the Kanto Ninetales. Unfortunately, no last second charge attack for that Galvantula, but in comes Jellicent as the opponent throws a Weather Ball on alignment, anticipating it was going to be Malamar. For an Ultra Premier Kanto Ninetales, I have no idea what they would run for a secondary charge move. I guess maybe Psyshock or Scorching Sands. They're just going straight Weather Ball here, however. Jellicent waits the turn, making sure there's no catch as it fires off the Surf, and the shield does come up from the Kanto Ninetales. Ninetales tries to CMP tie, and that just gives a free Hex over to the Jellicent. Jellicent is loving the energy, and there's a Solar Beam. I was so wrong. I thought Psyshock or Scorching Sands. Apparently the opponent was just baiting. Solar Beam picks up the knockout, but unfortunately for them, they have a Shadow 2 cannon that's down a shield and down energy in the back, and that's just never a recipe for success. It doesn't matter if 2 cannon fires off Beak Blast, it's just too little too late. They go for the Beak Blast. This, of course, will be debuffing the Malamar, but the damage is already done. They have no shields left to hide behind. Even a debuffed Foul Play will set up a farm down. That Solar Beam was an absolute jump scare, but luckily, Shadow Malamar is just simply too good. Hopping into the final match, Shadow Malamar into Primeape, a very good lead. Primeape staying in this matchup. If they're staying in, they're probably going for a close combat and dip, so I do like the shield. And they do go for it, close combat into a safe switch of Corviknight. Corviknight gets immediately answered with Galvantula. Galvantula can't quite make the lunge before Corviknight will fire off energy. It is just going to be the Air Cutter, and thankfully no boost comes through. Even though this Galv is not running Discharge, does the opponent decide to respect it? Lunge is going to be no shielded, and that actually ends up being a CMP tie as well. So Galv will be able to hang on to the Air Cutter now that it is debuffed, but unfortunately Galv is barely going to miss that farm down and is forced to fire off all its energy. So we see a bit of the limitations of the Cross Poison moveset. Oh, the Lunge doesn't even take the knockout. After seeing that last matchup play out, I understand why halfway through his sets, he ended up TMing off Cross Poison and instead switched to Discharge. Because with Discharge in that matchup, that would have been really nice for Galv. Galv could have landed a Discharge, gotten a full Volt Switch down, exited with energy to threaten the Primeape, whereas now, unfortunately, it just completely lost switch advantage to a Flyer. Jellicent Surf takes the knockout, opponent throws away the Primeape because they see a win con, and that's 2 shielding the Togekiss. Hiss going to be immediately hit with the Shadow Ball. Shield does come up, and the question is, are they on Dazzling Gleam or are they on Psyshock? Neither one should take the knockout here, but Gleam would get them very, very low. It is the Gleam, but luckily it's still not enough to take the KO. Jellicent doing a little 360 there as the Shadow Ball will be reached, and in comes Malamar. Malamar is entirely walled, but Malamar has Psywave to hit for neutral damage, and Togekiss is not known for its bulk. But Malamar will consistently chip away more and more at the Togekiss. Forest Fear Bait comes out from Togekiss, immediate foul play from the Malamar. This is going to be a race to the finish. Can they make the Dazzling Gleam? They're going to need it. They do not get there. Shadow Malamar gets the farm down, and that is a good game. All in all, these battles were highly entertaining, so many thanks to Blaze for the battle submission. I really like getting to see people's different Shadow Hundo Pokemon. I know unfortunately some people just don't even have a single Shadow Hundo, or some people will have it and it'll be something that isn't really playable, like a Shadow Krabby or something like that. But man, some people have some really cool ones, and Shadow Hundo Gal is definitely playable in the Ultra League Premier Cup. In my eyes, it's more of a pick for fun than for climbing. It can do a lot of core breaking, but it is an extremely frail pick. So you'd have to be very careful with the teammates that you pair it with. You're going to need a lot of bulk, which makes quite a bit of sense why he ended up pairing it up with the Jellicent and the Shadow Malamar. This Jellicent just offers bulk for days, able to shake off even super effective hits. Whereas Gal, we saw from that Meteor Mash in Game 1, even resisted damage looks super effective on Shadow Galvantula. So definitely kind of a feast or famine pick. I think with a lot of trainers relying on psychic types like Oranguru, like Malamar, and pairing those up with Corviknight, I can see the core breaking potential. Like, I can see where Shadow Gallop or even just the regular Gallop would catch a lot of teams off guard. But I think it could end up being quite feast or famine, where in some matchups, Gallop just purely based off its typing is feasting, but in others, it just really doesn't have an ability to do much of anything. So, all in all, more of a pick for fun than for climbing, but it's really cool to see some of the top players in various leagues, like in this case, Blaze is a top Ultra League player, show that with careful gameplay, even a Pokemon that is a glass cannon like Shadow Galvantula can still put absolute fear into opponents. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching today's video, please do leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you have not. And an extra special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide to the channel and to me helps me do what I do. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.